Frank Ackland, Managing Director of Eaton Middle East, thank you very much for joining us today. Eaton, a global power management company, and they're of course exhibiting at Intersec 2019 with their life safety division. On that particular division, can you just tell us an overview of what you provide and who for?
Yep, sure. So when we look at the solutions that Eaton provides, a lot of it comes down to that, and you can put it under the general category of safety. So for example, if you look at whether it's the safety of assets or the safety of data or the safety of people, this is pretty much where we spend most of our time. So before I zoom into life safety, if I just go back a little bit, electrical solutions, for example, if you look at the distribution board in your home, or the power solutions that you have in any large industry or commercial building, then we supply all the electrical infrastructure that goes into that. And it's incredibly important for us that that equipment is reliable, that it's safe, and that it's fit for purpose. If you move into data centers, for example, then we're one of the largest suppliers of UPSs in the world. And so whether you're looking at your data at home, or whether it's the data on Facebook, or whether it's the data in any large data center, then we supply the equipment that supplies and supports that whole infrastructure. But very specifically to your point around life safety, we've got a long legacy of supplying fire detection, emergency lighting, evacuation solutions around the region. And that's a really, really important core business for us.
And on life safety, fire protection in particular, the UAE Civil Defence released in 2016 their updated, revised life safety and fire codes. How has that impacted your business in the Middle East, well, in the UAE specifically?
The codes in the region, specifically in the UAE and Dubai, are very strong. And we engage on a very, very regular basis with Dubai Civil Defence specifically. We work with them around what is the latest technology, what are the latest codes, how to implement that. And I think it's very, very important for us as an organisation to at least attempt to be a thought leader in these places. I don't want to be overly arrogant here, because I think it's important that it's a conversation, it's a communication. We spend a lot of time talking to the various different civil defence authorities around the region, specifically in Dubai. This is where our head office is, of course. As we bring in new technologies, as we look at different ways to enhance and improve all aspects of life safety, then we engage with those authorities, specifically civil defence, on a very, very regular basis. And it's great to see that the codes are increasing. Now, I've been in Dubai now for 20 years, and it's really comforting to see that every year the bar is being raised higher and higher on life safety and the regulations around that.
And I mean, you've been here 20 years, and Eaton also has been here in the Middle East region for 20 years. How has the market sort of developed in that space of time?
Eaton put the first office in the region was actually in 40 years ago. That was part of the larger Eaton organisation. We did the acquisition of Westinghouse many, many years ago, and we've put our first office in the Middle East, in the World Trade Center. Okay. And what I've seen, both professionally and personally over this period of time, is just the continuous investment in the infrastructure, and we can just see how Dubai has grown over the years, but also the quality. I think every single aspect of safety has been improved and enhanced over that time frame. Just a very, very basic example, if you look at the safety you see on construction sites, it's now far higher than it was many, many years ago. The regulation that's being put in, I would say there's parts of the regulation which are on par, if not better, to some of the regulation you see in other countries, and definitely on par with what we're seeing in Europe. And I think this is something that we can also partly help bring to that party, because we're a global organisation. If we see specific requirements in Europe or in the US, for example, we can look at that and engage in those conversations with people who are responsible for the regulation and bring that to the table. Around electrical safety, for example, in Germany and now more broadly around Europe, there is a requirement for changing the specification of the circuit breakers that you would have on a distribution board. It's called arc flash detection. And that's something that was developed specifically for the European markets, but now we're bringing it to the emerging markets, specifically around the Middle East. And there's a huge amount of interest in that as well. So I think it's really important that global companies and regional authorities talk continuously, and then together we can make sure the regulations are really fit for purpose.
Okay. Your solutions obviously span many industries. All industries are important, of course, but in this region, where are the verticals that you see the most opportunity?
I would say that naturally, because where we are, the two largest markets for us are commercial construction and petrochem. And both of those are very important from a business perspective, but it's also driving the economy. So if we look at all of the investment in petrochem, whether that's all the different cycles within the petrochem industry, but working and supporting those companies, whether it's contractors or end users or consultants, is important for us. But if you look at commercial is probably the largest market that we have at this moment in time. And if you just look at the growth in Dubai over the last 20 years, you can see how much has been invested in that, and whether that's in residential or small shopping centres or big infrastructure projects. We've been working with many of our stakeholders for many years on that.
Okay, so 40 years in the region actually. I said 20 years earlier, but it is 40 years in the market here. On a global level, Eaton, of course, is a global corporation. This region, as a kind of percentage, I guess, of global revenue for Eaton, is there a number you can put on there?
We don't normally split our numbers by revenue, but what I would say is generally there's a very important part of our strategy is growth in emerging markets. So, as an organisation which came out of a very strong US and European base, what we've been doing over the last few years is looking at areas where there's strong potential. And of course, emerging markets is incredibly important to us. Okay.
Any particular case studies, projects that you would like to highlight that Eaton has been involved in, some flagship projects that you'd like to share?
Yeah, definitely. The great thing about the life safety business, as an example, is at any one point in time, we've probably got about 300 projects going on. Whether that's a small grocery store or whether it's a larger project, then we've normally got a lot of activity going on. But there's a couple of really nice projects we've worked on. One example would be the Riyadh Metro. This was a really interesting opportunity. One of the challenges that we had was, how do you bring the emergency lighting systems into all the various different tunnels? And what we did is we took one of our luminaires and we adapted it and actually fitted it into the handrail. That was something that had never really been done before, and we worked very closely with everybody involved in the project. Now, that's a very interesting technology that we've now rolled out across that project, and obviously we'll be using it on other metro projects in the future. I think another example around innovation would be what we're doing with evacuation. It's important irrespective of the size, but if you get a specific application with a large number of people, then what we've been looking at is how do we take the current technology and take it a step further. And what we're looking at now is adaptive and intelligent systems. So if you look at the little green man over there, that's the current standard, as it were. Well, what we've done now is we've taken that signage and made it adaptable. So for example, if you're in a situation where an exit is can't be used for whatever reason, then the sign will change. Instead of having the green man, you'll actually have a red cross through it. So if you're in that situation, you look up and you see that cross, you realise that's not the right way to go. Then it's very good for the people who are actually in that situation, because they can get a very good view of what's safe and what's not. But what we're also doing is changing the fidelity of the messaging that we're giving. So we've now taken the voice evacuation piece and changed the way that we do that technology. So we now have a higher fidelity. So it's far easier to understand the messaging, especially when it goes over some form of telecom system. And another part of it as well is just making sure the stability of the system is far better. So we've now introduced technology, especially on systems where you use a central battery, that we now monitor that central battery system as well. So that's 3 examples of what we've done to take what is a relatively stable technology, but try to raise the bar.
Great. Dubai Expo 2020 is well just under 2 years away, I believe now.
Yes.
Where do you see the opportunity? Is this a good thing for Eaton? And I guess it must be, but in particular specifics, where do you see the opportunities as a result of Expo 2020 for your company?
It's a showcase for the region. So I think everyone's incredibly excited about the fact that we're going to have so many visitors coming to Dubai in 2020, and for the whole event. It's given a nice kick to the economy. So it's a significant project. It's a really large commercial build, and with any large commercial project, then obviously we're intimately involved in that. But it also gives the opportunity, to work with the various different stakeholders around the project, and look at opportunities where we can bring some solutions which may be new. Now we're working on a couple of very, very nice opportunities at this moment in time to bring a life safety solution that we'll be able to showcase during the 2020.
Great. Let's go to Intersec, of course. You weren't at Intersec in 2018, but you are in 2019. What do you plan to showcase? What can visitors expect to see from Eaton at Intersec 2019?
Okay, so you're right. We didn't participate this year, but we have done for the previous 12 years, and we're definitely going to be very actively involved in 2019. One of the things we're really looking forward to is being able to showcase what we've done over the last 18 months or so in terms of innovation. So, whether it's the new security systems, whether it's the adaptive evacuation systems, the new luminaires we've brought. We've also spent a lot of time investing in our fire detection systems. So we've got new products in that space as well. So for us, it's going to be a really, really nice event. We'll be able to showcase a lot of the new products that we're bringing across the whole spectrum of our life safety business.
All right, great. And in terms of the visitors that you want to see and from where, who do you want to see at your stand early next year?
Clearly, we invite everybody to the stand. And it's a very nice opportunity for us to meet and greet our customers, old and new. But what we really do like is when thought leaders come onto the stand. People who are looking at what's happening next in terms of the next generation of technology. So whether it's the civil defence authorities, whether it's the consultants, whether it's end users, it's a really important topic. And to be able to invite the people onto our stand, to show them what we're doing, and sort of engage very actively with what we believe is the right technology moving in the right direction. The event is incredibly important. It's a great opportunity to bring everyone together. But what we do is, we spend a lot of time actually going out into the market, not just in Dubai and the UAE, but also everywhere. We spent a lot of time recently in Saudi Arabia, for example, talking about what the latest generation of technology looks like and what best practice looks like and where we want to be. So for us, the Intersec exhibition is the opportunity for us to continue that conversation, but have a very, very active environment in which to do that. We're going to be showcasing all this technology and demonstrations, getting people involved. It's nothing better than getting your hands on the product and seeing how it works and thinking, how can I take that and apply it in my specific case?
Frank Ackland, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at Intersec in 2019.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.